the tremendous sort of racing action on the track, which is the most important thing, getting the sort of real quality horses here, whether that be Boyle, the highest rated racehorse in the world, or the very open Coolmore Nunthorpe, where you could have made a case for about 12 of them. And then, as you say, in the Skybet Ebor, Frankie Dettori's sort of inspired ride on Trawlerman, just getting up on the line on the death, winning the £500,000 richest flat handicap in Britain.
Now, Phil and I were actually talking in the interview about the field sizes and saying how small they were, but I believe they were pretty good at York.
Yeah, we had a really strong support from horsemen, over 350 runners during the week, an average field size of 12.5, and really a reward and a testament to the record investment in prize money by the York Race Committee. £6 million last week was up for offers, which was about £1 million more than in 2021 and 2019. Yeah, as I say, a real commitment both to attract the best horses to York and good quality competition, and for feedback into the British racing industry, because prize money is so important, and the sort of the oil that lubricates the industry, and we take our responsibilities in that regard really seriously.
Well, look, we know that York has several big meetings a year, and we'll come on to what goes into preparing big festivals such as the Ebor meeting shortly. But can I just take you back a bit and ask, what is the William Derby story into racing? How did you get into the game?
Oh, well, a convoluted route, I guess. I'd always been fascinated and interested in horses from a very young age. Had ponies and did eventing, and rode out for local trainers in my teenage years as I was aspiring to be a jockey. But as I hit 6'2", that clearly no longer became a viable career option. But I funded all my university education by riding out for local trainers to where I was, part of Imperial College Y, and had always been, loved racing and the sport and horses. I then ran away and trained as a chartered accountant with PwC and did all my qualifications, my work with them, and then had the opportunity to go to Ascot Racecourse. Started off there as their head of finance, head of accounts, promoted internally to their commercial director. They sent me away kindly to America to do grad school, so did a course at Harvard Business School, which was fascinating and invaluable. And then have been up at York as chief executive and clerk of the course since 2003. How the time has flown.
Now, you've alluded to the fact you have these two roles. One is CEO and one is clerk of the course. Can you tell us a little bit about each role, and do you find it's quite a good fit combining those two?
Well, it's unique amongst the bigger courses to York. It's always been the case at York, both the head of the business side of the operation and the head of the racing side. And it works for us. It ensures that racing is at the heart of our operation and our business, and the horse and what we do on the track is core to every decision that's made. Personally, I'm supported by great people, senior people on both sides, whether that's Anthea Lee, who's our racing manager and race day clerk of the course, or the team who help with the business side of things. It suits me personally very well. As I've just said, I love horses. I have horses at home and I'm obsessed by horses and racing. But also I'm a chartered accountant and love the business side. So it's a role made in heaven for me personally, and it kind of works, I hope, for the York Race Committee.
And in terms of clerk of the course, you poor clerks of the course do get it in the neck sometimes from trainers. Who takes it? Is it you or Anthea that gets it in the neck?
I don't know. We work really well as a team, in all seriousness. Anthea and I and our very talented and good head groundsman, Adrian Kay. We do work as a team. I guess the ultimate decision always comes back down to me, but that's as part of a robust debating process, and we trust each other, we respect each other professionally, and we work very well as a team, and we spend a lot of early mornings together walking the course, discussing discussing the track and the surface and how we might approach things. And I find that incredibly useful in ensuring we've got a logical and an intelligent approach to grounds maintenance and track presentation.
Well, look, I know there were lots of good comments about the state of the ground at York last week. We've just had the Ebor Festival, but York stages other big meetings, such as the Dante in May and the John Smiths. Presumably a lot more goes into preparing those festivals rather than just a one-day meeting. Could you give us a bit of an insight into what goes on?
Yeah, certainly the Skybet Ebor Festival is on a different level to anything else we stage. And as you say, there's a huge amount more planning and work and operational details to it. We're really operating on a global racing stage for those 4 days in August, whereas the Dante Festival is a big meeting, but that's really sort of domestic. It's all about the sort of runners going to Epsom or Royal Ascot. It's not quite the level of competition that we have in August. And obviously the John Smith Cup meeting you talk about in July, that's huge numbers come to those big summer Saturdays at York on a Saturday. So a lot of operation on planning with the race day staff and the police, etc. What fascinates me almost is at the core of what we do is similar in terms of 7 races on a race day, but the difference in scale and complexity and interest in a festival meeting to a standard meeting it takes it to a whole nother level and involves a huge team effort. We had about 1,500 people working here each day for the Ebor Festival. So that's a huge amount of recruitment, training and placing and administration that the team do here. We have 100 people working here 365 days a year. So it's a big old operation in our little world, and a lot of moving parts. And what's fascinating as well is that if one cog is not there, goodness, you know about it. So everyone performs an incredibly important role in ensuring the meeting goes well.
And William, those sort of big meetings, they are sort of on a different scale to a lot of the meetings we might just see on a Saturday afternoon. And with the Ebor meeting particularly, there's a sort of a bit of a razzmatazz around the Ebor race. I know you have jockey introductions beforehand. Is that something you think racing needs to do more of in general, or is that something just for the big meetings? Should we be promoting jockeys and trainers and indeed the horses a bit more than we currently do?
I certainly think we should always remember that we're an entertainment business and we're a sport, and we should be engaging and interesting our audience. That changes per meeting and per audience type, if you like. So, but certainly we shouldn't be afraid to try new things. That jockey's introduction is something we've introduced and adapted since we took the Ebor sort of up in value, and something I saw do very well in Australia at the Melbourne Cup. And I think that innovative approach to how we present our sport and engage our audience is crucial to ensuring that sport remains successful.
And was it right, William? A little Dicky Bird tells me that introduction of the jockeys was actually your idea. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't know about that, but we're a good team in that we're always sort of challenging each other to how we can do things differently and better, and that there's a culture, I think, of innovation amongst the team where everyone throws things into a pot. What would we like to see when we're going racing? And so often, the jockeys are the star of our sport. So often they're, if I may say, hidden beneath their helmets. So we asked each of the jockeys to remove their helmets so we can see them, see their faces and their smiles, and make heroes of them, which they undoubtedly are. Either the horses or the jockeys, the real heroes of our sport. So and a lot of them loved it and relished it, and you've got different scales of personality, but we get great support from the weighing room for initiatives like this.
Well, I think personally it was a great initiative, and I'd like to see more of that sort of thing because, as you said earlier on, it is an entertainment industry. Finally, William, now this is a bit of a tricky one, but we always ask our guests this. If there were 3 things you could change for the better in British racing, what would they be?
Oh goodness, yeah. That is a challenge. I mean, I think it does at our core. We have to make sure that the sport is relevant and compelling for all age groups, but for people in the wider population, maybe outside our orbit of sort of racing fans. So that sort of resonance, that relevance, that enjoyment from, you don't need to buy the Racing Post or sign up to Timeform annuals to engage and to enjoy a day at the races or engage with the sport. So that will be the first thing that I think all decisions should be guided by. The second one would be not to shy away from the fact that at our heart, betting is a key part of our compelling proposition as a sport, and we should embrace that. And you know, if we have got small field sizes which are not compelling for a betting proposition, then we need to address that. We need to make sure that the people betting feel valued and have the right data that they need to make their choices, whether that's weighing horses or showing the form in a different compelling way. So betting would be my second thing. And the third, again, unique to our sport, is the connection to the horse. And that is a huge asset of our sport. It's also a huge responsibility. So we need to ensure that we look after our horses to the absolute best of our ability, both before, during and after their career in racing, and celebrate that connection with the horse, with our customers and our potential customers, and explain what we do, how we look after them, and shout about how proud we can be, and make sure that we take people with us on that journey. So those would be my three things, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And here to all of those three. Thank you for those. They're very interesting and not ones that many of our previous guests have mentioned. So thank you. And thank you indeed for the whole interview and for sparing us time so soon after the Ebor Festival. Thank you very much, William. Thanks.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Well, Phil, another great guest. I know we had one or two logistical problems timing-wise post-Ebor getting William on, but he came on. Great guest. And I have to say, the thing I was taken with of everything he said was he didn't shy away from betting. And I think we tend to be a little bit defensive sometimes in this industry. So I'm glad to see him give betting a good mention.
Yes, yeah, I really enjoyed listening to William. I'm glad I got to hear it live. That wasn't going to be the case for a while, but
indeed.
Glad I could join in, and I hope listeners agree. I don't know if people won't know, but I met William's brother at Lingfield Racecourse a couple of months ago, and he told me to give William a hard time, and I didn't. I stayed away from that. So,
and I'm not sure I did either.
Hopefully he enjoyed the interview as well. So I'm sure we'll get another great guest lined up for our October episode. And yes, if you're listening to this, the best way you can ensure you don't miss that one is to follow Inside the Rails on your preferred podcast platform. And if you could also follow us on Twitter, that would be great. And please tell all your friends about us. That's a great way of getting the podcast to grow and ensure that we can keep on getting these great guests on. And we do really appreciate your support.
Well, that just leaves me to thank co-host Phil Boyle from BG Racing, our special guest, York CEO and Clerk of the Course, William Darby, producer Callum Ronan from Callum Ronan Creative, and of course, you, the listeners. Syndicate horses are winning left, right and centre. York Racecourse has showcased the best in British racing, with Frankie Dettori proving that at 51, he's more than just a menace. This is Simon Double from Solaria Racing saying goodbye.